Did you know that companies that really invest in figuring out their users and designing for them can see a massive difference? We're talking maybe a 34% bump in user activation.
Yeah, it's huge. And on the flip side, unclear navigation.
Yeah,
That can frustrate, well, pretty much everyone.
exactly. So stick around because today we're pulling back the curtain on how the magic happens in UX.
And how you avoid that frustration.
Welcome everyone to the UXcast podcast right here on the Masked Designer channel.
Welcome. Great to be here. Today, we're doing some serious learning UX with dialogue from Masked Designer. We're tackling something absolutely fundamental to building great digital products.
That's right. Our mission today is to walk you through the entire journey of creating exceptional digital products and services, the whole UX design process.
And it's not just about, making things look pretty.
Definitely not. It's a strategic business investment, plain and simple.
Exactly. We'll show you how those abstract ideas get transformed into refined solutions. Solutions that genuinely meet user needs and, hopefully, create some really positive experiences.
We'll touch on the common phases you go through and why having a structured approach, maybe guided by certain frameworks, is just so important.
So maybe think about a frustrating app you've used lately.
I think of a few.
Right. Maybe you couldn't find a button or it just felt clunky, inefficient,
Yep.
annoying.
Well, that's often a process problem bubbling up to the surface. It's not just like a single bad design choice in isolation.
It's like trying to build a house without any blueprints.
It just chaos, right? Walls everywhere. Maybe forget the stairs.
Yeah, exactly. No stairs. Not ideal.
Today, we're giving you the blueprint, or at least talking about why you need one.
Because having that structure, that process, it's a strategic business investment. It contributes directly to things like revenue growth, better conversion rates,
Happier users.
enhanced user satisfaction,
Yeah.
definitely, and just making things more usable and accessible for everyone.
And that structure often comes from using established UX design frameworks, right?
Yeah.
Things like double diamond design thinking.
User-centered design, agile UX, lean UX, the list goes on. We don't need to get lost in the weeds of each one today. But the point is, they provide guiding principles, a kind of roadmap.
Right, a roadmap. It streamlines the process. It frees up creativity because you're not constantly reinventing the wheel on how to work.
And it really helps with communication and collaboration, getting designers, developers, PMs, stakeholders all sort of speaking the same language.
It makes a huge difference.
But, and this is really important, while these frameworks often lay out steps, the process itself isn't strictly linear. You don't just march through A, B, C, and you're done.
No way. It's cyclical. You loop back.
Exactly. Iteration is fundamental. It happens throughout all the phases. You're constantly learning and refining.
Yeah, you might get to testing and realize, uh-oh, we missed something huge back in research, and you cycle back. It's fluid.
Much better than just, winging it on a complex app.
Oh, God, imagine winging it. You just be adding random stuff. Hey, you know what this banking app needs? A glitter button.
Huh? Press it, and glitter fills the screen. Maybe not the most useful feature.
Probably not going to help my balance. Okay, let's unpack this. Phase 1. Before you design anything, you have to understand who you're designing for.
And what problem you're actually solving. For them, and crucially for the business, too. It's proper detective work.
Sherlock Holmes time.
Pretty much. And you can't solve a mystery without gathering clues. This first phase, call it user, research, discovery, empathize, it's all about building that deep understanding. It's the foundation.
So what kind of clues are we looking for? What activities happen here?
Well, you're gathering all sorts of info, both qualitative and quantitative. You're doing things like user interviews,
Right.
actually talking to people, getting those rich personal stories and insights.
Super valuable.
Totally. Then you've got UX surveys, maybe to get broader data, spot trends across more users.
Okay.
Field studies, going out and observing people in their real environment, seeing how they actually do things, not just how they say they do them.
That sounds fascinating, seeing it in the wild.
It really is. Then there's market competitive analysis, seeing what else is out there, what competitors are doing well or badly. Finding gaps.
Spotting opportunities.
Exactly. Empathy mapping is a great technique too, trying to visually map out what users are thinking, feeling, saying, doing, related to the problem space.
Helps build that empathy muscle.
For sure. And you absolutely have to talk to business stakeholders. Understand their goals, the constraints, any existing knowledge they have.
Right, gotta know the business side too.
All this detective work leads to some key outputs, key deliverables. Things like user personas, those fictional characters based on research that represent your typical users.
Gives the team someone concrete to design for.
Precisely. User journey maps, visualizing the steps a user takes to achieve a goal, including their touch points with the product or service, and importantly, their emotions along the way. Where are they happy? Where are they frustrated?
Shows the pain points really clearly.
And usually a user research report to pull all the findings together. You need tools too, of course. Survey platforms like SurveyMonkey, Google Forms.
Digital whiteboards like Miro or Mural are amazing for this
Oh
stuff.
yeah, indispensable. Analytics tools like Google Analytics to see current behavior,
Right.
maybe user recruitment platforms to find participants.
Makes sense.
And a really crucial point here. This phase must cover both user pain points and the business objectives. You can't just solve one in isolation.
They have to connect.
Absolutely. The PNC virtual wallet example mentioned is great. They did internal research, shadowing their own teams to find system limitations alongside user interviews. Both sides of the coin.
So picture this. You've done all that. Interviews, surveys, maps. You've got this mountain of information.
Yeah, loads of clues. And maybe some red herrings too.
So thinking about that research phase,
Sure.
what stands out to you as maybe the most surprising or insightful thing you've ever learned just from, like, talking to one person during research?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. There have been a few aha moments for sure. How about you, our listeners? What's the most surprising thing you've learned from user research? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to read your answers. Okay, so after all that detective work, like you said, mountains of data, sticky notes everywhere, maybe interview transcripts, survey results, how do you turn that sprawl into something focused, something actionable?
Yeah, how do you find the signal in all that noise? This is where we organize the puzzle pieces, right? Put them together to see the clear picture. This is synthesis or define.
Exactly. The goal here is to synthesize everything you gathered, organize it, interpret it, look for the patterns, the themes, and uncover those really actionable understandings. It's the bridge from raw data to actual design decisions.
So what happens in this phase? What are the activities?
Well, a huge one is crafting a clear problem statement. This takes all those broad insights and distills them into a precise, actionable sentence or two about the core user problem you're aiming to solve and why it matters. It becomes your North Star, your guiding compass.
Super important to get that right.
Absolutely. You're also outlining goals, making them smart. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. You're setting key performance indicators, or KPIs. How will you measure success later on?
Planning ahead.
Yep. You're also anticipating challenges or risks. And finalizing the scope. What's in, what's out for this particular project or feature? Defining those boundaries.
So what comes out of this? What are the deliverables?
Well, the problem statement is key. You also often create affinity maps. That's where you group all those individual insights from research into themes. Great for seeing patterns collaboratively.
Usually done on those digital whiteboards again.
Often, yeah. Mural, perfect for it. You also refine your user personas and journey maps now, making them sharper based on the synthesized data. And a really powerful output is developing how might we statements.
Ah, yes, HMWs.
Right. You take the problems you identified and reframe them as open-ended questions like, how might we make onboarding easier? Or how might we help users find information faster? They turn problems into opportunities, setting up the next phase beautifully.
Very cool. Tools here are still the whiteboards.
Definitely digital whiteboards. Spreadsheets are often handy for any quantitative data analysis, and presentation software to share your findings and that crucial problem statement with the team and stakeholders.
Got it.
And the clarity of that problem statement is just paramount. If it's vague or based on assumptions instead of your synthesized research, you're likely to design the wrong thing.
Makes sense. Garbage in, garbage out, kinda.
Pretty much. The UXDA banking app example is relevant here. Their synthesis pinpointed specific issues like navigation, jargon, lack of personalization. This led to a clear problem statement. The app needed to be more than just secure storage. It needed to support daily digital banking interaction fully. That clarity helped them prioritize using things like an impact versus effort matrix.
Focusing the effort where it counts most. Okay, problem statement nailed down. We know what we need to solve. Now for the fun part, right? How do we actually fix it? Time to get creative. Let the ideas flow.
This is ideation. It's all about generating a broad spectrum of ideas, exploring possibilities without shooting them down immediately. Quantity over quality initially,
Challenge assumptions. Think outside the box.
Exactly. You leverage all that understanding you built up in the earlier phases. Activities include things like classic brainstorming sessions.
Sticky notes galore.
Could be you use those "how might we" questions we just talked about. As prompts, they keep the brainstorming focused on the actual problems you defined.
Yeah.
And you might use various creative techniques to spark different kinds of thinking.
So what are the outputs here? Just a pile of ideas.
Pretty much. Brainstormed ideas captured somehow. Maybe digital sticky notes, maybe photos of a physical whiteboard. The HMW statements themselves are deliverables too, as prompts, and often quick sketches, really rough, low-fidelity visuals to get ideas down fast without getting bogged down. Maybe some basic concept models or user flows.
Tools for this, besides markers and sticky notes.
Digital whiteboards are huge here too for capturing and organizing, and AI tools are starting to play a bigger role.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, you can use some AI tools to help brainstorm concepts based on prompts, or even take rough sketches or text descriptions and generate initial basic mock-ups really quickly. Things like Uzard or Galileo AI.
Wow, okay. Like a brainstorming assistant.
Kind of. Can really speed things up, but honestly, sometimes just a whiteboard, markers, and a good group of people is still the best.
Can't beat the classics. Who should be involved in these sessions?
A mix is best. UX designers often facilitate and sketch. Product managers ensure alignment with the vision. Research folks provide context. Developers offer early feasibility checks like, that idea sounds cool, but it takes 6 months to build.
Good reality check.
Yeah. And stakeholders bring diverse perspectives, and getting them involved early helps with buy-in later.
Makes sense. So the key here isn't just random brainstorming.
No, definitely not. True innovation in UX comes from structured creativity. It's rooted in those validated user problems and business goals you already defined. The HMW questions link that creative energy directly to solving the right problems.
So you're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Hopefully not. Otherwise, you might end up seriously proposing that glitter button. Or maybe, I don't know, a feature that randomly changes all the text to pirate speak.
All right, that might be fun for Talk Like a Pirate Day, but maybe not for my mortgage application.
Probably not ideal, no. Okay, so you've got a bunch of ideas, maybe some rough sketches. But ideas are abstract. How do they actually feel to use? How does someone navigate through them? This is where we make them tangible. This is prototyping.
Right. Turning those scribbles and concepts into something you can actually tap and click on, like building a mini version, a model of the product or feature.
Exactly. The goal is to transform concepts into designs you can interact with. Bridge that gap from abstract idea to something closer to functional reality. You simulate the user experience before you commit loads of development time and money.
And you create testable prototypes, right? Which can vary a lot in how detailed they are.
Absolutely. They range from super low fidelity, maybe just paper sketches you walk someone through, or simple clickable wireframes, all the way up to high fidelity prototypes that look and feel almost exactly like the final product, with polished visuals and complex interactions.
What kind of activities happen here?
You're creating interactive wireframes, those basic blueprints showing layout and flow. You're refining the user journey based on initial feedback, maybe just from interacting with it yourself or showing teammates. You're turning wireframes into more polished UI designs, applying the visual style, colors, fonts. Sometimes you create multiple versions to explore different approaches.
And the deliverables are the prototypes themselves.
Yep. Wireframes, low-fidelity prototypes, high-fidelity prototypes, interactive prototypes that actually link screens together and simulate the flow.
Lots of tools for this, I imagine. Figma seems huge right now.
Figma's massive, yeah. Sketch is still widely used. InVision for sharing and feedback. Balsamic is great for really quick, low-fidelity wireframes. Axure for complex interactions. UXPin, Framer, Webflow. Lots of options depending on what you need. Fidelity, collaboration features, code integration.
But who's doing the building here? Mainly designers?
UX designers are usually the primary creators, yeah. But product managers are reviewing for alignment. Developers give crucial feasibility feedback. Hey, that cool animation, that's going to be tricky to build, or we can do that easily.
Good to know early.
Definitely. And stakeholders review them too. It gives them a much more concrete idea of the proposed solution than just static images.
So the big takeaway is that prototypes aren't just pictures.
Not at all. They are powerful communication and validation tools. They simulate the experience. This massively reduces risk and rework later because you catch problems early before any real code gets written.
Makes total sense. Like the PNC virtual wallet example, they used wireframes and prototypes to test and improve usability before building.
Exactly. And the UXDA banking app audit, They presented their alternative concept using high-fidelity prototypes. It wasn't just showing visuals, it was showing how it would work and feel, making their recommendations much more compelling.
Okay, prototype built. Looks great, feels interactive, but does it actually work for real people? Does it solve that problem we identified way back? Time for the reality check.
This is usability testing. This is where the rubber meets the road. You put your prototype, whether it's lo-fi or hi-fi, in front of actual users from your target audience.
Don't watch them try to use it.
You got it. You observe them attempting to complete specific tasks that the design is supposed to support. You see if it actually solves their problem, how easily they can navigate, where they get stuck, what confuses them.
So the goal is hardcore evaluation before building.
Rigorous evaluation, yeah. Gather feedback from real participants, identify issues, find those pain points before it goes into full development. Activities include formal usability testing sessions, give users tasks, observe, maybe ask them to think aloud.
Okay.
You might have follow-up user feedback sessions like interviews or questionnaires. Sometimes you do A/B testing, comparing two different versions of a design element or flow. And simple observation is key. Watch their nonverbal cues, their hesitations, their frustrations.
Sounds like you need a plan.
Oh, absolutely. A usability test plan is essential. It outlines your goals for the test, what exactly you're testing, who's involved, the setup, the specific tasks, how you'll record results, and crucially, how you plan to act on the findings. A usability checklist can also help guide the evaluation.
What comes out of it? A big report.
Often, yes. A usability test report summarizing the findings, what worked, what didn't, key issues, recommendations. Analytics data can sometimes supplement this. And the test plan and checklist themselves are important deliverables.
Tools. Are there specific platforms for this?
Yeah, there are platforms like Maze or usertesting.com that help with recruitment and running remote tests. Session recording tools like Hotjar or FullStory let you watch recordings of users interacting, often on live sites, but useful for prototypes too. Analytics tools, survey tools, and again, digital whiteboards for synthesizing all the observations.
Team effort again.
Always. User researchers often design and run the tests. UX designers provide the prototypes and observe. It's incredibly humbling and insightful to watch someone struggle with your design.
I bet.
Product managers define objectives, help prioritize findings. Developers might observe for context. QA helps with setup. And the most important people,
The end users.
the ultimate evaluators. This whole phase is the reality check. It confirms if your solutions actually hit the mark. Skipping it, super risky. You might build something beautiful that nobody can actually use effectively.
Like that banking app example again, testing showed 100% of users struggled with navigation.
Exactly. A massive finding you wouldn't want to discover after launch. That led directly to a recommendation to restructure it. And the PNC testing showed tangible improvements in satisfaction and usability after they refined things based on test feedback. It's non-negotiable, really. So, you test it, you got a fire hose of feedback, you know what needs fixing, what's working. Are you done now? Ship it.
Not so fast. Design isn't a finish line, right? It's more like a loop. It's time for iteration, making it even better based on what you learned.
Precisely. It's this repeatable process of improving the product based on data and user feedback. It's cyclical, it's nonlinear. You might bounce back to ideation or prototyping, maybe even more research, based on testing insights or analytics from a live product.
So the cycle's kind of plan what to fix, ideate how to fix it, prototype the fix, test the fix, review the results, and repeat.
That's a great way to summarize it. Plan, ideate, prototype, test, review. Repeat as needed.
What are the benefits of working this way? Seems like it could take longer.
Actually, it usually saves resources in the long run. You get feedback early and often, which prevents you from wasting tons of effort building the wrong thing or going down a dead end. Positive feedback says keep going. Negative feedback says adjust course. Both are super valuable.
So it prevents costly mistakes.
Big time. It also really helps collaboration because the team is constantly getting feedback and seeing the impact of their work. And most importantly, it ensures you're actually addressing real user needs because you're prioritizing improvements based on direct user input, not just assumptions.
Makes sense. Keeps you grounded in reality.
Plus, it supports agile development really well. Implementation can often start while design is still iterating, allowing code and design to evolve together.
So iteration isn't just tweaking things at the end.
No, it's fundamental. It's a strategic imperative for building successful products today. It massively reduces risk by catching issues early and often. It turns potential failures into learning opportunities.
Like with the PNC wallet, successful bits from the first redesign were carried into later releases and refined further. continuous improvement.
Exactly. And the UXDA audit resulted in an actionable improvement plan and a strategic roadmap that applies ongoing enhancements based on feedback, not just a one-time fix. Iteration is key.
Okay, design is solid, tested, iterated, refined. It works. Now, how do we actually get this thing built? How does it go from Figma file to real code?
This is the handoff phase, passing the baton to the development team. But, and this is critical, it's not about just checking the design files over the wall and saying, good luck.
Uh, yeah, that probably doesn't end well.
Rarely. It needs to be about clear communication and, ideally, ongoing collaboration. The goal is to smoothly transition from design to implementation. You need to transfer not just the visuals, but the design intent, the underlying logic, all the detailed specifications developers need.
What kind of details are we talking?
Everything. Colors, fonts, spacing, layout rules for different screens, image requirements, how interactive elements should behave on hover or click, error states, animations, the exact wording for buttons and labels, accessibility notes like alt text, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is, and poor handoff, where this stuff is missing or unclear, leads to so much wasted time with developers trying to interpret things or constantly asking designers for clarification. Effective handoff involves bringing developers into the process much earlier.
Like back during discovery or prototyping?
Ideally, yes. Getting their input on feasibility early on saves huge headaches later. Handoff works best when it's an ongoing conversation, especially in agile teams where design and development run in parallel.
So what are the key deliverables for handoff? What do designers actually hand over?
Comprehensive design specifications are crucial. Detailed docs covering all those visual and interactive details. The interactive prototypes themselves are vital for showing flows and complex interactions.
What about design systems?
Huge. A design system or component library with reusable, predefined UI elements and guidelines is incredibly helpful for consistency and efficiency. You also provide context documents like user journey maps, user flows, and even the problem statements and business logic, the why behind the design.
Tools to help with this. Figma has some stuff, right?
Yeah, tools like Figma, Sketch with Zeppelin, Adobe XD, they have features that let developers inspect designs, grab measurements, colors, assets, sometimes even basic code snippets. Version control is important. Communication tools like Slack or Teams for quick questions, and documentation platforms like Notion or Confluence for the detailed specs.
Who's involved in making handoff successful?
It's a team effort. UX designers prepare and present everything, clarify doubts. The dev team implements, asks questions, flags constraints. Product managers facilitate, keep things aligned. QA engineers use the stacks to write test cases. Stakeholders might give final approvals.
So the main point is collaboration and clear communication.
Absolutely. It's not a single event. It's a process ensuring the final product accurately reflects the intended user experience. Like the PNC example needing comprehensive documentation for consistency, or the UXDA audit providing that strategic roadmap to give developers context. It's about setting them up for success.
Okay, you've gone through this whole rigorous process. You did the research, the synthesis, ideation, prototyping, testing, iteration, handoff. You've done amazing work. How do you package that up effectively to land your next job or get buy-in for your next project?
Your portfolio. It's not just a gallery of pretty screens. It's your strategic marketing tool. And hiring managers, they might only give your case study like 60 seconds. So it needs to tell a compelling story, fast. And they're looking for outcomes, not just outputs. Exactly. How did you solve a problem? What value did you create for the business and the user? Not just, here are 50 wireframes I made.
So how do you structure a case study to show that quickly?
A good approach is something like the Minto pyramid principle. Start at the top with the answer. The single most impressive, tangible result. Quantify it if possible. Boosted user activation by 34%. Cut onboarding time in half. Connect your work directly to a business impact right up front.
Grab their attention immediately. Then what?
Then support that answer with maybe 2 or 3 key arguments. These are the main decisions, insights, or process steps that led to that result. This shows your thinking. Usability testing revealed users couldn't find the main CTA, or competitive analysis showed a gap in the market for this feature.
Okay, answer, then supporting points.
And finally, the base of the pyramid is additional clarity, the evidence. This is where you back up your arguments. We ran 5 rounds of testing with 25 users, or analyzed 1,000 survey responses. It shows your process was thorough and data-driven.
Makes sense. Lead with the result, explain how you got there, provide the proof. What about visuals? Portfolios need to look good, right?
Absolutely. Visual storytelling is key. It shows your design skills too. Use a clean, skimmable layout. Lots of relevant visuals, good use of white space. Don't just dump raw screenshots, polish your visuals for the portfolio. Redesign personas or journey maps so they look good in the case study context.
Attention to detail matters.
Hugely. Consistent typography, colors, good quality images, add subtle shadows or borders to make things pop, preview everything carefully. Even if you use a template, customize it. Your portfolio itself is a design project.
And always connect back to business outcomes.
Yes. Remember, companies hire designers to solve business problems.
Mm.
Show how your work led to tangible value using metrics whenever possible. Reduce costs, increased revenue, improved efficiency, higher satisfaction. Translate design success into business success.
What about showing process artifacts like journey maps or test plans?
Definitely leverage documentation you created. It shows collaboration and thoroughness. Even mentioning the frameworks you use double diamond. Design thinking signals a structured approach. Organize your files well, too. It all paints a picture of a professional, effective designer. So there you have it, a walkthrough of the typical UX design process, from really digging deep to understand the problem and the user.
Through exploring solutions, building prototypes, testing them out.
Iterating based on feedback, and finally, handing off a well-defined solution to be built. It's quite a journey.
It really is. Each phase builds on the last. It's a systematic way to tackle really complex problems and create products that hopefully people find not just usable, but actually enjoyable and valuable.
It's iterative, it's collaborative, and it keeps the focus squarely on the user experience while aiming for those important business goals.
The field's always changing. New tools pop up all the time.
True, but that core strategic value of UX, understanding people to drive better outcomes, that remains constant. This structured, human-centered approach is how great digital experiences get made.
So, as you think about all these phases we talked through today, maybe consider this. How could embracing this kind of structured, iterative thinking, this UX process mindset, help you tackle a complex problem you're facing right now? Could be in design, could be somewhere else entirely, something to chew on. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this session a like. We'd really appreciate it.
And make sure you hit that subscribe button right here on the Mass Designer channel so you don't miss our future conversations and learning UX dialogues.
Yeah, definitely subscribe. And share this with anyone you think could benefit from understanding the power of a solid UX process.
Thanks so much for joining us for this Learning UX dialogue from Mass Designer.
See you next time.